Hi guys, in today video we will talk about different types of API testing. So let's get started. So first of all, we need to understand what are APIs. APIs are, let me explain. In any software application, there are three main parts. One is the front end, another is back end, and third one is the database. These three components are always present in any software applications. So APIs lies between front end and back end. So in any front end application, when front end needs to talk to database, it's do it via APIs. It send API request to backend, and backend internally get data from database, and then the database sends request to front end. Okay, so this communication happens via APIs, and today we will focus on different types of API testing. All right, before starting, we need to understand how many types of API, we need to understand why API testing is important. Okay, so API testing is important because it helps us detect bugs early in the development process so that this process doesn't propagate to the production. uh, it helps us validate the business requirements. uh, it helps us basically it means that it helps us validate that the software is built according to the business requirements. Third one is that it helps us optimize the application performance. So initially, when we don't have that much users or clients of our applications, it will work fine. But when our apps becomes popular, it will the traffic increases. We need to handle it properly so that it can accommodate the load for 1,000 user or 10,000 user accordingly. So for that we do performance testing. And the fourth one is that security assurance. We make sure that our APIs are secure and no malicious user can use it or attack it. The last one is that this is integration verification. It ensures that different components of the application integrate seamlessly. For example, I talk that front end talks to back end and back end talks to database. So it makes sure that all these components work seamlessly and securely. So now let's get into the real topic. There are so many types of API testing. I will let first tell you the name of these. There are around 10 types: smoke testing, functional integration, performance. In performance, there are further f- four, four types of testing: load testing, stress testing, shock testing, spike testing. And same goes for the security setting. We have authentication testing, authorization, and penetration testing, end-to-end testing, regression, and these are other type of testing we need to understand. These types helps us cater different uh, testing for us. So now let's discuss these one by one. The first one is smoke testing. Smoke testing verifies that the basic functionality of the application works properly, so that for example, logging the user or signing up. These are the basics path, or loading the front end of the application. These are like comes into the smoke testing. For the API purpose, this will only be like login in this single example. Second one is functional testing. Functional testing helps ensure that API works according to the specified functional requirements. It validates the correct behavior of APIs by testing input and output parameters. For example, it validates that the APIs works for the same purpose that was designed intended person. For example, the API for creating a new user should work the same that it creates a new user, and it doesn't work any other thing. Number three is integration testing. Integration testing checks how well different components or APIs work together. For example, testing an e-commerce API that integrates with a payment gateway like Stripe. After a successful payment, the integration test verifies the order is created and the payment status is updated in database. Another one is performance testing. This performance testing help us uh, test the performance of APIs. There are four subtypes, as you can see here: load testing, stress, and spike, and so these different testing types help us cater different needs. Load testing evaluates the API performs under expected load, for example, under 1000 users using this. And the stress testing help us, we deliberately put a heavy load on our APIs to test how it works on very large user, very large load. And the spike testing help us test how our APIs will behave when there is sudden load comes in. And soft testing, in this we like put heavy load for a long duration and test how it behaves. Number five is security testing. Security testing help us how secure our APIs are. There are like different types, subtypes in this as well: authentication testing, authorization testing, and penetration testing. Authentication testing help us that only authenticated or login user can access our system or APIs. Authorization testing help us that only admin users can perform admin related tasks and normal user shouldn't perform admin tasks. They should only perform their own related task. And penetration testing help us simulates attacks on the APIs to identify vulnerabilities. For example, attempting to exploit system weakness to gain unauthorized access. Okay. Another one is end-to-end testing. For example, I talked earlier like there are three major components in software application: front end, back end, and database. The end-to-end testing help us to test how APIs will work with other components when they are integrated together. For example, in the front end, from the front end perspective, the user registration form, when the user enters all the information, they send request to APIs, and APIs will execute the logic. If all the information correct, it will store the user. If that works, then it means end-to-end testing is fine. Number seven is regression testing. Regression testing is that, for example, our client says we need that new feature. The developers build that new feature. Now, if by doing building new feature, our existing application breaks or not, this can be tested by regression testing. First, another is first testing. First testing involves checks by sending random or invalid data in APIs and check how the API behaves. The main purpose is that it exposes potential crashes, hangs, or security vulnerabilities. In this, we send random string, as I told, invalid characters or unexpected payload. Ninth is validation testing. Validation testing checks that whether the API meets the defined business requirements, and it focuses on overall behavior of of the API, ensuring that it fulfills its purpose. Last one is error handle testing. Sometimes when the front end doesn't send proper data to APIs, so that the API should handle it properly. It should give 400 errors saying like invalid data received from the front end. So all these error handling should be done properly. So that was our topic today. If you like it, let me know. We will create more videos. Thanks.